I get it when you're staring at the kitchen layout on your phone, wondering if a beverage center is a luxury you can actually use or just a pricey piece of furniture. The doubt can feel like a full-blown roadblock. You're picturing family game nights, office happy hours, maybe a small CAF vibe in the home, but you also worry about the space it will eat, the cost versus the actual benefit, and the nightmare of buying something that ends up gathering dust. I've been there, scrolling through endless models, reading the same vague marketing copy, and wondering if the modern look and timeless quality claims actually translate into everyday convenience. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's break down the Summit 24-inch Beverage Center and see whether it earns a spot in your kitchen or commercial back-of-house, or if it's better left on the wish list. First off, the unit is 24 inches wide, 4.2 cubic feet of interior space, and is advertised as ADA compliant, which means the doors and interior layout meet accessibility standards. That's a practical detail that often gets lost in glossy photos if you have guests who use wheelchairs or if you just want a low-effort pull-out. The design accommodates that. The panel-ready wording tells you the exterior can be clad in a cabinet face that matches the rest of your cabinetry, but remember the panel isn't included, so you'll need to factor in an extra cost or DIY effort to make it blend seamlessly. Who should actually consider this piece? If you run a small coffee shop, a bakery, or a co-working space where people constantly ask for cold drinks, the 4.2 cu.ft capacity is generous enough to hold a mix of soda bottles, juice cartons, and a few cases of water without you having to restock every hour. The internal shelving is adjustable, so you can line up a row of 12-ounce cans side by side or stack taller bottles on a higher tier. For a home that entertains frequently, think weekend barbecues, holiday parties, or a kid-focused game night, the unit becomes a central hub where you can pull a tray of drinks without juggling multiple fridge doors. In those scenarios, the convenience of a dedicated pull-out drawer that slides out on smooth glides, the kind you hear a soft whoosh from, actually saves you steps and reduces the risk of spills that happen when you're juggling a full fridge door. On the flip side, if you're a single professional who mostly drinks coffee, or you live in a tiny apartment where every inch counts, the 24-inch width might be overkill. You'll likely end up using half the space for a handful of bottles, and the rest will sit empty, turning the unit into a costly placeholder. Also, the fact that the panel isn't included means you'll have to either buy a matching panel separately or live with a contrast finish that can clash with your kitchen's aesthetic. That extra purchase can add $50, $100 to the overall price, which is something many first-time buyers overlook. Let's talk about daily usability. The drawer pulls out on full extension tracks, so you can see every bottle without leaning over the front. In my research, users have praised the ease of loading and unloading, no more wrestling with a cramped door that only opens halfway. The interior lighting is subtle, but bright enough to spot a misplaced bottle, which is a small comfort during dim evening gatherings. Because it's ADA compliant, the handle is ergonomically shaped and the door opens with a light push, which is a plus for anyone with limited hand strength. The cooling system runs on a standard 115-volt line, and it's self-contained, so you won't have to hook up a separate refrigerant line. That makes installation relatively straightforward for a handy DIYer. You just need a dedicated electrical outlet and enough clearance behind the unit for ventilation. Now, the hidden trade-offs. The unit is panel-ready, meaning the outer skin is designed for a custom cabinet overlay. If you don't apply a panel, the exposed stainless steel can feel industrial. Some people love that, but others find it out of place in a warm, wooden kitchen. Also, the cooling capacity is tuned for the specified volume. If you overload the space with large, warm items, like a tray of freshly baked pastries that need to cool down, the temperature can fluctuate and you might notice a slight warm spot near the back. That's not a flaw in the fridge's mechanics, just a reminder that the unit works best when you keep the interior load balanced. Another practical consideration is the noise level. Because the compressor is housed in a compact chassis, you'll hear a faint hum when it cycles, which is typical for under-counter fridges. In a quiet home office or a small CAF with soft music, the sound is barely noticeable, but in an open-plan living area where you're watching a movie, the hum can become a background distraction. It's not a deal breaker, but worth noting if you're sensitive to low-frequency noise. Energy consumption is another point people ask about. The Summit model carries an